going to part 5, the teach what's teachable. And basically that means that don't try to teach a student kind of beyond their level. Even though that seems natural, because when we acquire language, our first language, for example, we're surrounded with all of this language input that's much beyond our level. But we're not really, as a child, you don't really have to interact with all that language that's around you. It'd be kind of like if you go watch like a movie in Russian, and you want to learn some Russian. It's questionable how much Russian you'll really learn just from watching like movie after movie. It's because it's actually beyond your level, and you're not even able to really notice things. So it's probably more efficient to study, simplified Russian, TV programming or a movie, something that's been simplified for language learning, like videos and things. And that's the idea of teach what's teachable. And then if you take the idea that linguistic structures do follow like a predictable path, then we can somewhat understand what the students might be ready for at which points, and kind of control the input this way, modify the input. Sometimes I'm reminded of students who, when they come into a language program, they always want to go into a higher level than maybe they place into. But of course, as you know, it's always best to stay in the level that you place into. Well, not always. I mean, maybe sometimes it might benefit someone to go up, but basically, supposedly you learn best, at the proper level. Of course, you don't want to be too low, for sure, too low a level, but just the right level. And it's kind of like correcting compositions as well, correcting writing, where sometimes a student, like a teacher, will be very selective in the errors they correct, just to have a focus. Because if a teacher corrects every error that student makes, then it may be too much for the student. They can't really handle it. They can't really learn from that. I mean, that's hard because students always want to know all of their mistakes, So usually I just try to correct everything. But in terms of what they're really going to learn from, yeah, you could make an argument for like focusing on certain structures, especially ones that you're working on in class. And that's where they have the expression, students don't always learn what they're taught. It sounds strange, but it basically means that just because you teach something and present it and practice it, students won't learn it like if they're not really at the point where they're ready to learn that structure. And okay, that's the end of part 5.